wide. As we pay tribute to war veterans in this month and when they are remembered across the world, QTV's Mamadou Lamin Choi visits the country's remaining Second World War warrior in Brikama. And in international news, the former British colony and Caribbean nation Barbados has become a republic and removed Queen Elizabeth II as its head of state. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. President Barrow, presidential candidate of the NPP-led coalition on Monday, continued his dialogue with the People election campaign tour with mega rallies in Bakau and Serekunda, where the people called for his re-election next Saturday when Gambians vote for a president. Aliou Cisse has the details.
The people of the coastal settlement of Bakau gathered at the Bakau Primary School, where they accorded the president an entourage a rousing welcome. President Barrow is very determined to win next Saturday's election as he enjoys the backing of more than 10 political parties and independent candidates. At the Bakau meeting, prominent speakers including Dembo Baifos Bojang, National President of NPP, Usman Rambo Jata, First Deputy Party Leader of APRC, Du Bojang, Alcalo of Bakau, and Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, Minister of Health, all native of Bakau, assured President Barrow of Bakau's support while praising him for the numerous ongoing projects across the country. They call on the people of Bakau to stay united and rally behind the government by voting massively for the NPP-led coalition. On roads, they commended the president and his government for the ongoing road construction in some parts of Bakau, which they say has greatly transformed the community.
Bakau nkolo wa Bakau ngatandela loko wala lenne ndebe dawda man fumane asebula noka topalen su sumangana ndal dun la ku la bambalo kono dumalan dugal su lo xamne amul muj dal dun la ku la bambalo kono dumalan dugal su lo amul muj ndele ngali ñika ngali president Adama Barola.
At Bakau, two groups of people claiming to be UDP supporters from Bakau and members of the APRC breakaway group declared joining the president. At Serekunda, a large crowd received the president at the Serekunda Primary School as he dialogued with the people of the bustling settlement on his government's achievements and future plans. Just as at Bakau, the message was the same at the Serekunda meeting as the people echoed their readiness to meeting President Barrow. Speakers including Umar Ejalo, alias Oji, a politician, Hamad Nkeba, the tourism minister and leader of the NRP party, and Alhaji Sering Job, Alcala of Serekunda, described President Barrow as a man who has fulfilled most of his 2016 campaign promises, such as improving the economy, as they look forward to more if he is re-elected. They call on people on the opposing side to join the president and NPP.
We expect the elections to be free and fair, and we want them to accept defeat when they are defeated. We are all Gambians. At the end of the day, Adama Barrow will be president for every Gambian. And Gambians have been looking for a leadership like this one.
Addressing both meetings, President Barrow, the NPP candidate, said he was grateful for the role the people of Bakau and Serekunda played in the change of government in 2016, while thanking them for the huge turnout to dialogue with him. Re-echoing the same promise made elsewhere, he told the people of Bakau and Serekunda to expect developments they have never seen, especially during post-2021.
Andu ndedan na wala mbe silol bele ko wala nga be sil momo reji silo wala ko degi laga ko nga wallahi do taliyen ne andu mbakele le fanan ñu ngi ñew liggéey ci Serekunda na duna Serekunda do wa yeneen capital yi nekk ci Gambia bari ten bank lool mi be Serekunda ngi sé tali yu nga xamne tali yu stratégique ni roor su nekk ci capital yoyu ba jibe kam sila bal mi ya lonko silo le mi yo sa pour ñu liw na liggéey yoyu pour.
On the issue of inadequate space for the Serekunda and other car parks, he announced his government's intention to transform the backwater dump site into a central car park. He also revealed that on Thursday afternoon, He will lay the foundation stone for the construction of a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art hospital in Parato with a capacity of 1,500 beds. The election campaign tour continued this Tuesday evening with a rally at the Serekunda West Park. There is a mega rally at the Buba Zone in Talinding on Wednesday before wrapping up the campaign tour on Thursday in the capital Banjul. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
World Prematurity Day was on Monday commemorated by the Pediatric Association of the Gambia to raise awareness of preterm birth and the concerns of preterm babies and their families worldwide. The event was attended by the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Welfare. Abibatu Sise has more.
The day is observed on 17 November each year. The global COVID-19 pandemic forced the neonatal units worldwide to adopt strict safety measures that unfortunately often separated parents from their preterm babies in the neonatal units. The theme for this year, Zero Separation, Act Now, Keep Parents and Babies Born Too Soon Together, is an opportunity to advocate for every parent's right to full access to their babies in hospital, no matter where and when. Fatou Sanyang Kinte, the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Welfare, highlights the importance of the day, saying every baby has the right to life. She adds that her ministry, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, is working to address neonatal care challenges in the Gambia.
And together we are trying to introduce postgraduate studies in pediatrics. And one of the conditions for us to be given accreditation is space. But we still have a small area which we are using as the orthopedic unit. I am one person who has been advocating for us to have pediatricians in all health facilities in the Gambia. So when they came with the idea, I said to them, well, me and my staff have agreed that we are going to use that land to build our new office complex. And we've already got our plan finalized. But if you putting a building on that land and saving a life of a baby on a 1 to 10, I think I'll give priority to saving the life of a baby.
Dr. Simon Pius, a consultant neonatologist, says some of the causes of preterm birth are low immunity, psychological or emotional stress, poor diet, and hard labor, among others. Preterm birth is the leading cause of death in children under 5. According to the WHO, about 15 million babies worldwide are born prematurely, and 1 in 10 babies are born before 37 weeks. Dr. Adam Masala, senior consultant pediatrician at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, attributes neonatal care challenges in sub-Saharan Africa to the lack of intensive care facilities for preterm babies and inadequately trained staff, among others. However, he reveals that there has been significant improvement in neonatal care in the Gambia.
I am delighted to note that the situation has changed dramatically in terms of the available training in neonatal medicine. Not only do we now have an assistant professor of neonatology at the AFSTH, but also several other eminent professors and senior consultants in pediatrics who can deliver the different aspects of neonatal medicine.
Preterm delivery is a major public health problem globally. Healthcare systems are encouraged to balance the needs for preterm babies and their families with the requirements to keep hospitals running with safety guidelines, especially during the pandemic. For QTV News, I am Abibatu Sise.
Now, as we pay tribute to war veterans in this month when they are remembered across the world, QTV's Mamadou Lamin Choi visits the country's remaining Second World War warrior in Brikama to find out how he has lived his life and more than 7 decades after returning from the war. More in this piece.
This is a story of a life of sacrifice that keeps on 7.5 decades after the Second World War ended for a man aged 102. This is Ibu Jangha, the Gambia's last surviving World War veteran of those conscripted by the British to fight for them in the Second World War against the Japanese in the jungles of Burma. A centenarian who was born in Batos to a jeweler father still clings to the memory of his career after returning from the war in 1946. As a private soldier returning from the war, he couldn't depend on the gratuity he had received from the British to maintain his family. I was not paid much money from the war. It was a small amount that I received, which I distributed to my family. Revealing the exploitation and abuse Britain unleashed on African soldiers during the Second World War in February 2019, an Al Jazeera documentary titled The Forgotten Heroes of Empire uncovered that Britain paid its soldiers not only according to their rank and length of service, but also their ethnicity, with black troops receiving a third of the pay of their white contemporaries of the same rank. The documentary called it a scandalous neglect. Many of his colleagues joined the security forces after returning from the war. However, for Ibu Jangha, tapping into his jewelry skills was the best option. He established his workshop in the 1950s, where he still works to earn a living for himself and his family. Many of those I went with to the war have died. For me, I keep on to this work to make some little money. Whatever I make, I sell and feed myself. My children are around. They don't have much. I'm the one who supports them. At his age, Mr. Jangha still makes jewelry without asking for help from anyone. Except on Fridays, he is normally at work. Commuting a long distance to work, he spends at least $6,000 a month on travel, a cost he finds unsustainable. He pleads with the public to help him get a car he can use to continue his work. I need people's help to get a car. I am so tired now. What I pay for taxes is too much. Every day, paying $100 to and from work is too much. Having a car will bring me comfort. This motorbike belongs to Ibu Jangha. It is what he would use to commute from his home to the workplace. But a man who is 102 years has lost the strength to use a utility for the purpose of which it was bought for. The war veteran has two daughters, the eldest of whom is his life support. She is Mamtudi Jangha. Mamtudi is engaged in petty trade, from which she makes money to complement what her father brings home.
He
is not in the greatest of health. He is just brave. If people can help us with his medication, it will be good for him. When I want to take him to the hospital, he tells me, but you don't have money, you don't have someone to support you. If you decide to spend all your money on my health, you can't sustain it.
In the war, he narrowly escaped death, having lost his hearing and sustained burn from grenade explosion in the jungle of Burma. Driven by passion and determination, Ibu Jangha keeps his head unbowed, living a selfless life of sacrifice, continuing to manifest the true character of a hero who defies all odds in his life after returning from a war he earned a little and still has little except for his legacy. Mohamed Lamin Choi, QTV News.
Oh, what an incredible story. And that will take us to the commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more local news stories for you.
Marble is the Gambia's first ever election app designed to ease access to election information. The app also provides information on all past certified presidential, parliamentary, local government elections and by-election. Marble Gambia has a user-friendly interface, and thus its users will not experience any difficulties in navigating through the features of the application. Will also be able to interact with the source map to know which candidate is winning in every constituency. Luckily, Marble Gambia allows its users to receive live certified election results on election day. Download Marble Gambia today on App Store and Play Store and receive election results at your fingertip. This is brought to you by Gambia Participates and with support from National Endowment for Democracy and International Republican Institute.
The Gambia goes to the polls on December 4th, 2021 to elect a president who will steer the affairs of the country for the next 5 years. As the country prepares for this spirited national exercise, the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, reminds the public that the conduct of presidential election is a constitutional requirement as enshrined in Section 46 of the 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia, and voting a civic duty which every eligible patriotic citizen should discharge on December 4, 2021, as enshrined in Sections 26 and 39 of the Constitution. As politicians embark on campaign trails across the length and breadth of the country, canvassing for votes, the NCCE reminds the public that political participation, association and voting are fundamental rights of every citizen, hence the need to exercise tolerance and civility throughout the period, and refrain from the use of abusive language, hate speech, provocative actions, intimidation, thuggery and physical confrontation at all times, as these contravene the laws of the Gambia. The general public is encouraged to stay away from any altercation and follow due process to seek redress when the need arises to ensure peace and stability throughout the process. Our collective desire for accelerated socio-economic growth and development could only be achieved in an atmosphere of peace and tranquility. The Gambia has a secret ballot system. Your vote is secret and will not be known by anyone. Every vote is important in an election, as each can make a difference, and as customary, counting shall be on the spot. Political affiliation is your right. Your vote, your choice. Vote wisely. This message is brought to you by the National Council for Civic Education with support from the United Nations Development Programme.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. And asked, the maintenance of peace is paramount before, during and after elections. Our regional correspondent Bakari Balde went out in Jara in the Lower River region to gauge people's opinions on holding a peaceful election.
As the date for the election approaches, it seems that this year's election will be more intense and competitive compared to the previous ones. After rigorous campaigns by presidential aspirants touring the country from rural to urban areas, people in Jara are hoping for a peaceful election. Alaji Dematri Sise, the Kabilo head of Soma Newtown, outlines the significance of voting. He urged people to vote wisely and further advocates for a peaceful election.
My advice to people is to vote with discipline and respect each other's views. Let us know that we are one, and let us give our votes to the one we think can move the nation forward. There is no need for arguments and fights. After voting, go home and listen to the radio or TV for the results.
Musa Jallo from Jara Jinoy calls for calm and says Gambians should come out in large numbers to exercise their right to vote.
Well, election is very important, and I believe it's the first right for every qualified citizen, in a sense that you are at the age of 18, you have right to vote and to be voted for. If you want to have a voice, you must vote. Your vote is your voice. Election comes and goes. Well, when it comes, we have to face it and be prepared to face the challenges. What is incumbent upon us is you cast your votes and go home. You have your radio, you play your radio and listen.
Our TAL stated that everyone has the right to vote for the candidate of his or her choice, and emphasized that people should employ the politics of tolerance to promote unity.
The importance of elections is that you have the right to vote for the candidate of your choice. I am advising people to be tolerant because we are one people. We can still be brothers and sisters while supporting different parties.
Absa Trawalle and Ami Trawalle, both residents in Soma, call on people, especially women, to come out and vote because they constitute the highest number of registered voters.
On voting day, let all women come out and vote. After voting, go back home and watch the TV or radio. May we vote and go back home in peace. Start and conclude it in the name of Allah.
As people wonder whom Gambians will choose as their next president, the dust will soon settle, and the winner will be known on December 5th. Everyone is hoping the process concludes in a peaceful manner. For QTV News, I am Bakari Balde.
Still on elections, women's participation in politics is important, including when it comes to voting. Fatusi Sanyang went to this Serekunda to find out how women will be voting on election day, amidst doing their household chores, which many will have to do on election day.
Women's right to political participation is a necessary step to achieving global gender equality and democratic governance. As such, women play crucial roles in every aspect of development, especially during elections. The IEC data shows that more women than men have registered in the Gambia. These high registration statistics appears to suggest increased political awareness among Gambian women and that their voter turnout may be high. Tita Drame, a tie and dye seller, advises women to come out early and vote.
Every 5 years,
Doing household chores never ends. We can only have the chance to vote once every 5 years. No matter how challenging the chores can be, this is just for a day. Please let us wake up early, prepare our kids and go and vote. After voting, we can go home and continue our business.
Georgia Bojang, a market vendor, urges other vendors to go and vote because it is their fundamental right.
I am urging the women to leave everything they are doing, come out and vote. It is our legal rights to vote. Even if we don't want to vote, let us do it for our children.
Louise Aida Jata, a businesswoman, gave some advice to her fellow young women.
Luma lenda advice moy nagay gene ci ñu sandi sen carte parce que sen carte rek mo leen mëna woné woné ay citizens lañ.
I am advising my fellow women to come out in numbers and vote, to choose the one we think can represent our needs. You should keep quiet if you don't vote. Don't then complain about the lack of development. Voting is how your candidate can win.
Women have the right to vote and to be voted for during elections. In this way, they can elect their choice of candidate to steer the affairs of the country. Voting them into office will also empower them to contribute to national development. There is no female candidate participating in this election, but on December 4th, a huge turnout of women voters is expected, and women are optimistic that whoever wins will be there for the Gambia, including women. For QTV News, I am Fatusi Sanyang.
Well, that report by Fatusi Sanyang will take us to the international news. In international news, the island nation of Barbados, the most easterly of the Caribbean islands, has removed the Queen of Great Britain as its head of state, in what the country's Prime Minister described as a seminal moment, which will see Barbados fully leave its colonial past behind. More in this report by Mamudum Boch.
The handover ceremony in the capital Bridgetown combined pomp and ceremony with one big overnight party, according to reports. Several leaders and dignitaries, as well as the island's most famous VIPs, including the cricketer Sir Garfield Sobers and the singer Rihanna, attended the ceremony, which coincided with the country's 55th independence anniversary. The outgoing head of state, the Queen of Great Britain, was represented by her eldest son and heir to the throne, and the event's guest of honor, Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales. He took the final salute and watched the royal standard lowered for the last time, as his mother was removed as head of state. But the new republic will remain within the Commonwealth. In his speech, Prince Charles acknowledged the appalling atrocity of slavery the Caribbean islands suffered, which he said forever stains our history. He, however, also emphasized the enduring friendship of the island and Britain. He described the moment as a new beginning before being awarded the prestigious Order of Freedom of Barbados by the new president, Dame Sandra Mason, who also named the Barbados-born pop star and businesswoman Rihanna a national hero. Mason had been the island's Governor-General since 2018 and was named as President-elect following a vote in Parliament last month. She now replaces the Queen as the head of state. Mason is a 72-year-old attorney and judge who has also served as ambassador to Venezuela, Colombia, Chile, and Brazil. She has been working with Mia Mottley, the island's prime minister, since 2018, the first woman in the island's history to hold the position. Barbados, first occupied by English settlers in 1627, was one of England's first slave colonies, and under British control, it became a sugar plantation economy using enslaved people brought in from Africa. Slavery was abolished in Barbados in 1834, and the country became independent in 1966. Since then, the island, one of the more populous of the Caribbean islands, with more than 300,000 people, has become one of the more prosperous in the region, having transformed from a low-income economy dependent on sugar production into a high-income economy based on tourism, the international business sector, and foreign direct investment. Just after independence, the first Prime Minister, Errol Barrow, yes, Barrow, who would have thought that there was a Barracuda in Barbados, had advised the country not to loiter on colonial premises, which makes one wonder why it had taken them this long to become a republic. Other Caribbean countries like Dominica, Guyana, and Trinidad and Tobago became republics in the 1970s. The last nation to remove the Queen as head of state was Mauritius in 1992. Jamaica, the Bahamas, St. Lucia, and few other Caribbean islands still have the Queen as head of state. But, according to some analysts, if the removal of the Queen as head of state is placed on a par with, say, the removal of a statue of a slave trader, as triggered by the Black Lives Matter movement, then that could pose difficult questions for the countries affected, the British royal family, and the Commonwealth. The Prime Minister said of Rihanna, and I quote, "May you continue to shine like a diamond and bring honor to your nation." A prayer that one might extend to the Prime Minister herself and the President on their Republic Day. For QTV News, I am Amadou Mbouj.
Well, congratulations there to the Caribbean island nation of Barbados. And that's it for the news. Join us again at 10 for another bulletin.